Here's a reading of chapter 2 of The Pain Habit, and this chapter is called What is the Point of Pain? That's okay. Okay, so what's the point of pain? Pain is just a message for you to attend to yourself. No more and no less. Doesn't indicate that you've sustained any physical damage. And it's only one part of an amazingly sophisticated system designed to protect you. It alerts you to potential damage that you need to be aware of, or if trauma has occurred, that you need to protect yourself in that situation. You experience pain as a feeling somewhere in your body, which is the best physical representation of that message alerting you to the threat or damage. It's a system that develops over time through learning. When you're born, possess simple reflex protective mechanisms, and thereafter you learn what pain is protecting you from. The meaning of each painful experience becomes clearer as you grow. As a baby, you may cry if you hear a sudden loud noise or feel a vaccination needle in your arm. You have no concept of what the noise or needle is, other than knowing there are unpleasant sensations to you. You cry out to let everybody know you're not happy about it. This alerts the parents so they can investigate and attend to you. As you interpret these sensations in your life, you develop the ability to adjust your responses to them. You know you do not need to cry out every time you hear a loud noise, and you now might even enjoy playing loud music. You may no longer wince with an injection and actually feel little or no pain from it because of your different perception. The meaning you give to what you experience helps you work out what action to take and influences how you feel pain. Whether you need others to help you, whether you can help yourself, or whether you need to take any action at all, comes from developing understanding and meaning from past uncomfortable or painful experiences. You become more resilient within your environment. You're gradually less dependent on parents for survival. You start to become authentically who you are and loosen the attachment to your parents that your survival was initially dependent upon. By adulthood, you should have a platform of physical and psychological resilience to make your own way in life in the world. Pain offers you amazing opportunities to develop your resilience, but the messages they convey are not always as easy for you to interpret as you would expect. You're not born with all this pre-programmed information about pain. You've got to work it out. Like everything else in life, you need others to teach you in the beginning. You start to learn about the things that can and do cause pain during your childhood through your own experience and observing the experience of others. This provides the foundation for how you'll deal with painful situations for the rest of your life. Your early caregivers teach you to deal with pain by showing you how they dealt with theirs and how they attended to yours. A blueprint for dealing with pain is just another lesson to learn, along with thousands of other things that we absorb through childhood. We run to those people with something painful, physical injury like a split lip, busted nose, or grazed knee, or to describe something that's upset us, such as someone calling us names or taking our toys. You ask for help because you're not certain how to deal with that situation, you have a lack of information about it, and feel a sense of loss of control. These three things, uncertainty, lack of information, and a loss of control, trigger the stress response in any human. If that stress response is viewed in a negative way, we describe those uncomfortable feelings as negative emotions. If your perception of a situation is viewed negatively, it is the associated emotions that cause you distress and lead you to seek help. With a painful experience, you may cry, have tears rolling down your cheeks, or look pale with your breathing and heart beating faster than normal. These are natural instinctual behaviours demonstrating how distressed you are. Parents listen and show you how they understand what has happened. They reassure you, tend to the painful sensation with a plaster or a hug. They explain how to overcome the discomfort. They tell you how long that should take and encourage you to accept responsibility for looking after yourself whilst that happens. They teach you strategies to deal with similar situations in the future and how best to prevent them from happening again. You get the certainty, information and control required to reduce the stress response in any human. This makes you feel safe again. Tears subside, crying ends, the colour comes back in your cheeks and your heart rate and breathing return to normal, and the painful sensation starts to diminish. You learn, understand, restart your journey and recover. Pain arises to get your conscious attention to focus on understanding what the meaning of that sensation is. Mostly it's an easy message to understand because you quickly recognise the cause. Do you remember how pain got your attention in the past due to physical injuries such as cuts, bruises, broken bones, bumps and strains? Or pain getting your attention when there's no tissue damage like putting your hand on a hot surface or feeling the sharp point of a pin? It's easy to think that pain always relates to damage, but this isn't the cause. It isn't the case, sorry. You have other times when what you saw or heard without any physical stimulus made you feel so uncomfortable you describe it as painful. With your experiences, you can now recognize potentially painful emotional and physical situations before they happen again and have an idea about how to cope with it if they do recur. You've made associations with those situations and how they make you feel. If you sense cues to a situation and you know this could lead to something painful, you're warned about it. Sensing heat on your hand from a hot cooker warns you about the possibility of a burn. In the same way that an early emotional warning system starts to give you a physical sensation to alert you consciously to protect yourself against a threat. You understand your current environment and process that information through your beliefs. You have the ability to become consciously and unconsciously aware of something threatening or painful happening through your physical senses. Your protection comes as thoughts, movements, reflexes, behaviours and physiological reactions. Some of these you're aware of and some you are not. Changes occur in your body and brain through effects from your breathing, reproductive, digestion, immune, inflammatory systems all taking place without conscious effort. They're just responses to potentially threatening cues which can correspond to your conscious awareness of a threat. Amazingly, they can come even before you are consciously aware of that threat. So you may have a conscious awareness of a threat, but there are things happening at that moment you're also unconscious of. It's like having a stranger inside of you who hears your thoughts or recognizes the cues of a potentially threatening situation before you do. It acts to quickly make your body ready while you consciously deal with your side of the emergency. It's a sophisticated system of balanced, conscious and unconscious mechanisms which go hand in hand to become habitual reactions to threat. You develop the potential to be warned about many threatening situations with a spectrum of protective feelings of which pain is only one. We have to learn these very subtle feelings and understand the correct meaning of them to respond with the correct protective reactions at the right time. If we don't pick up on the subtle warnings our system gives us, or we misinterpret that feeling, we don't respond or we respond to it incorrectly, our protective system can raise the level of alarm through increasingly uncomfortable sensations to make you take action if you haven't done the right thing. It uses pain as a final warning for you to reevaluate what the true cause of the threat is, correctly identify what is triggering the stress response in your system, and deal with it by choosing the appropriate behaviours for that situation. When trauma happens in life, that stimulus is pushed beyond the limits of what our system could not protect us from. Whilst that occurs, pain is there to help us attend to ourselves whilst we recover from that trauma. Once we've developed certainty, have the right information and feel a sense of control from trauma, our stress response from it starts to subside. The presence of pain represents that those three elements of certainty, information and control are lacking. Even in adulthood, we need the support of others with physical and emotional situations. We have our baseline level of resilience, which is adequate for many situations. With new trauma or at a point of overload, we sometimes need additional physical and psychological help to get through something. This comes from our family, our friends, and healthcare systems to give us the attention and care we require. How quickly our pain reduces depends on getting the care from ourselves or others which has the right ingredients to reduce our stress related to that situation. It starts to reduce as soon as we tap into our own resilience or get the right information, help and understanding from others about it. It doesn't stop at the point the situation ends, but only when you feel better about it and the emotions behind it change. So it's not the event itself which creates pain, but your response to it. It's the emotion behind your pain that drives your pain. The broken arm, which was agony yesterday, is practically pain-free the next day in the fracture clinic. Once you understand it'll be fine in 4 weeks, as you've been told at the doctor with a white coat on. You've been told that by your doctor with a white coat on. You got a lollipop for being brave, and you have a plaster cast on that your friends can sign at school. Your arm's still broken, as it was a day ago, but now it's protected and you feel safe. Your stress response related to that reduces you as your emotions change and the pain fades. The pain from the relationship breakdown, the grief or the job loss, the abuse or bullying doesn't stop until you change the emotions related to that event. There were painful negative emotions that you initially experienced, but in time you start to feel better. It doesn't mean you forget the event or you pretend it never happened. The memory of it and what you learn from the circumstances are valuable tools to help you recognize and prevent similar things happening again. Many people have pain from physical trauma and recover completely without any lasting pain. They're left with stories of what happens, sometimes physical scars, X-ray findings or MRI results that are markers of the event. However, there are numerous research studies that find these changes in the pain-free population. Many have clear memories of psychological trauma that was originally extremely painful to them. They can now recall that time with no negative emotional charge and feel no distress from it. In pain from physical and psychological overload or trauma, you can fully recover, and most of us do. Even if we give the benefit of the doubt to the presence of pain in the first 3 months when suspecting a physical injury, all pain should disappear after that time. If we accept that all tissues heal in 3 months, any remaining pain after this time is a sign of the brain and the body becoming oversensitive to that pain reaction. The only sinister causes for persistent pain beyond 3 months are cancer, an undiagnosed fracture, infection, or an autoimmune disease. Any medical practitioners you've seen will have checked for these. As long as these are ruled out, the longer the physical pain lasts suggests it's been influenced by a maladaptive response to what has happened or the ongoing emotions underlying it. If there was no physical trauma, but there was a situation of such emotional intensity that it triggered physical pain, then again, it is the underlying emotions and stress response at fault. Your warning system protecting you before potential damage and after actual damage, it's designed to work perfectly. But if you've developed persistent pain, something has gone wrong for you with the process. It's like having a perfect computer hardware system that has a problem with its software. Your pain is still being experienced through a cascade of physiological mechanisms because your perception of the true meaning of the pain has been misunderstood. This isn't a blame game. This isn't your fault. It's just that you haven't made the association of the pain and the true cause of it. This process is about understanding that your pain does not relate to ongoing physical damage, even if you have proof that you have some. Amazingly, neuroscience is now proving to us that emotional mechanisms in the brain have the potential to actually cause the same pain as if you had been physically injured. We don't make the association that it could possibly be anything else. We just look for the physical link because of what we've been told or what we've told ourselves. Thinking that your persistent pain is entirely physical distracts you from finding the real reason. It sends you on a wild goose chase. That belief is the filter through which you interpret new information and forms the basis for how your brain and body reacts every day. If you're in persistent pain, you've unwittingly developed that pain habit. Your system, with motivation you're unconscious of, is reacting to cues with the conditioned behaviours based on what you've learned and believed from the past. The point of pain is to protect us in our environment, help us make sense of new experiences, and learn from them in order to grow. We use those to shape our approach to future events in our lives through our own experiences and through observing how others deal with their pain. Once these pathways are in place, our beliefs and behaviours become habits. It isn't your fault if you have the pain habit. You maybe didn't get the fine-tuning training of resilience that we need for our system to work perfectly, and didn't realise that the software you're using needs an update. The good news is you can reverse a habit. Once you see your pain as a result of habitual behaviours and not as something to heal from, you take the first step in recovery. There is no reason for you to stay in persistent pain. Understanding why you reacted to the cues that have led to your persistent pain allows you to see the route out of it. If you're open to understanding the real meaning behind it, then read on. Let's look at how we fine-tune this complicated conscious and unconscious library of responses to help you understand how to only feel pain when it's really needed. It's almost tantalising, that. I want to keep reading. Let me say that about your own book. There's some food for thought. I went on to chat a little bit after that reading, and there's a video about that and some of the questions that popped up in the link above. And also, if you're interested in listening to chapter 3, you should be able to find the link for that also. See you in the next chapter.